And tonight, some real intense Doctor Who debate that will get you behind the sofa as we go live with the Sensefair channel at 6.
Oh, yes. Did you see that shot? Oh, I should show it now. There you go. There's one of our shots tonight. I do recall when we had, what was it, Doomsday and the Army of Ghosts, when you had the Daleks with the Cybermen. There was a moment, wasn't there, when somebody's head was kind of suckered to death, but it was done years and years before that. So, yes, be ready for our rock and roll years of Doctor Who, the golden memories. You'll see many of them tonight, I do hope. Okay, so let me just warm up the dashboard there. So it's Sunday tea time with all the noise around Doctor Who. Will season 3 be commissioned or delayed? Yes, we will discuss it later. Sylvester McCoy and Happiness Patrol at the BFI? Yes, we will discuss it later. I thought it was a great time to intersperse the terse news with golden memories of Doctor Who, but inspired by rarely seen pictures of famous stories. We can all go down memory lane to trawl into our own golden memory vault of Doctor Who nostalgia. By the way, all these photographs, you can find them yourself for free. Join the Facebook group Doctor Who Photo Research. I'll say that again a few times tonight. Doctor Who Photo Research. Beautiful pictures, and you know, when you get used to the same photo shoot shots that have been in magazines and everything, and when you see different ones and a shot with a camera in, but certain brilliant reactions, that's what it's going to be all about tonight. Seeing Doctor Who in a new light and enjoying the stories maybe even more. So how about it, eh? Do you want to come with me? Right, okay, let's do our kind of tidying up and get the panel on. So basically, that's what it's all about tonight. So just make sure, especially tonight, share us your ideas, your memories, your experiences, your questions, and I'll get the thread read or I know we're dead. Okay? Obviously, I'm assuming when we're doing the Doctor Who Gold tonight, the likes will be off the scale. It'll be a real like hike tonight. Make sure your notifications are on. There'll be a few shows here and there. Our puppet show, quizzing our panelists. Subscriptions are always appreciated. They've been moving up. Come on, keep them moving up. Just check you have actually subscribed. Sometimes, as I said last week, we sometimes watch and we forget we've actually not subscribed. So please do that. And then last bit of housekeeping, DM me at on X at Sensosphere or email us at sensosphere@gmail.com. Okay. And of course, we will have our novelty items at certain points. Do not disturb Sutekh. You know that one. I haven't had John and Michelle on, and they're on tonight with Rachael. And I'd looked at their opinion regarding what are the most problematic elements of that storyline. And of course, we might dip into educating RTD because I think he needs it at the moment. So let's get the party started with my panelists. Some of the originals, you might say. I thought I would refresh and get everyone on before I leave for the USA with Jamie after our own wedding. So I thought, let's get all my panelists back on one more time. Then we all have our holes and then we're back again in October. Okay, that's kind of the plan. So let's have a look. Whoa, sneaky peek, spoilers. Shouldn't be allowed that, should it? So let's say hello to everybody. So let's make sure I've got everything working. It's the Queen of the Rogue.
Hi, royalty has entered. Hello.
I thought the red carpet must come out to you first. You've been a sterling panelist all these months. So
thank you.
You know, thank you very much. And I know you've just come flying off doing another one.
Yes, literally about well, it was pre-recorded, but it was about 20 minutes ago. It just finished. It was an interview with Will Hadcroft on my channel, who wrote Dark Contract, which is a BBC audio original. And he was at Hooverville, I
Yes.
believe, signing
Yes.
copies.
He was. So you're in there and you've done your chat with him, and
I've done
that's out now, yeah?
It is out now on my channel, yeah.
So
Yeah.
leave it for 2 hours and then
Yes,
straight
because
in
it's
there.
an hour and 45 minutes. So we need you here first. We need you
That's
here.
it. Come on, you've got a Doctor Who night ahead. Here we go.
Yeah.
So there you go. You know Rachael of old. Rachael had chat about it, and of course of course she's done a stream, and I'm thankful she's come on here. And so the red carpet is to the Queen of the Rock tonight. So
Thank you.
thank you, Rachael, because you've been doing sterling work for Senssphere. You've been on loads and loads of panels for months now, and you've helped build it. Thank you.
No, thank you. I really enjoy being on. I have good fun, so it's really good, and it's a good excuse to watch Doctor Who.
Yes, and tonight's a big one, isn't it? With Doctor Who Gold. I mean, come on, our golden memories. So I'll get my other two panelists on. I said the originals. They are the originals. So let's get them on. Here they are. There we go. There's John. There's Michelle. Good to see you both.
Good to see you all.
Now, as you know, you've been dipping in and out. You've been busy with various things, the both of you. So
yes, I'm glad to be back. I miss you all.
Yeah, it's good. Well, she moonlighting as well. Good old Michelle moonlighting, I tell you. But streaming away. She's got the bug now. So great to see you all back. John, are you up? Are you up for? There's no red carpet for you. Why would there be? It's more like, do you want to just do memory lane instead?
Did I just come on this show to get insulted?
Yes, you have.
Well,
Especially the puppet show coming up very soon with you on.
Excuse me, it's Sunday evening and I've got something in the oven. So get on with it.
Have you?
Yes.
Does anybody know?
I know who's responsible, yes.
Right. So, right. Let's have a look without further ado. So shall we get straight into some photographs and memories? We'll have a bout of them first and then we'll hit some of the news. So here we go. You saw a bit of a spoiler of it. I loved to just see William Hartnell having a whale of a time. You look at this. It's from the Dalek Master Plan. And if I forget who these creatures were. There's 4 of them. There they are. And look at him. He's just, you see, the thing is with Doctor Who, with it as it is now, don't you find that we get that kind of element of William Hartnell was a certain type of person and you get stories, and yet you see the human side, you know, of the rehearsals and messing on and talking about their hair or lack of hair or wig piece and stuff like that. And I just thought as a starter, it was nice to go to the original. And it was nice to just see the fun in Doctor Who when it was quite obviously there. I mean, Rachael, I bet that's one of the buzzers you love as an actress, which is the, you know, the ensemble, the laughs, the guest stars and all that stuff.
Yeah, we do like that. we all love it. It's a funny industry, my industry. Oh, Will Hadcroft's in the chat, by the way. I had him on earlier. Hi, Will. So
hello, Will.
It's an interesting and hello chat, excuse me. Yeah, I do actually like working with other actors because you meet all sorts of people in this industry, and you may only work with one actor at one time and never work with them again, but then you've got memories that you've made just from working on that. And then sometimes there's an actor that you always want to work with and you miss all the time and you never get the chance to work with them, you know. So you gotta make friends and mix in as soon as possible when you get into the rehearsal, right from the table read.
Well, the aim tonight is to show you, I'd never seen these before. So Photo Research Facebook group, and you'll find them. As SG says, never seen these before. And it's just lovely to see stories we know from a different angle. That's kind of what I was trying to do here. And so got loads of them and we're going to be shooting through. So yeah.
Did you say shoot?
Oh my God.
Hi.
Oh.
Do you want me on the show tonight, babes, honey, darling?
You're not meant to be. Gee, God. Who are you?
I wanting Shooty the Booty. Doctor Who superstar and superhero on tonight.
Do we want you on tonight, John? Do we want him on tonight?
Get him off.
Memory
No
Lane, Doctor
no
Who, Golden
talking in
Moment.
the
Are you going to do a bit of crying for us?
The show is all about the Doctor Who being a superhero.
Crying?
That's me. It's all about change, darlings.
It's all about twerking like a Burke.
No twerking in the TARDIS.
You see, why is he dressed like a superhero?
Yeah, I
Doctor,
know.
if you understand Doctor Who, you don't dress like that, mate. You don't change costumes every week either.
I'm Space Jesus.
Oh, well, exactly. This is the problem. We're doing golden moments tonight. We're not doing this twonky stuff. Superhero, sorry, you're being sold a dud, mate. I'm not. Do you want him on tonight? Do we want Shooty the Booty on tonight?
He's no caped crusader like the John Pertwee Doctor, is he really?
Look,
Oh, I got vicious.
Oh,
if you don't want me on tonight, I'll cry.
yeah, we
That's
guessed that
yeah,
one.
Stream.
But the one eye. Is that your?
Yeah, as Rachel said, can you do some live streaming?
I'll go and twerk on my own.
Yeah, I think that's the
That'd be
best one.
interesting.
Go and touch grass. Go on then.
You go and touch grass.
Oh, get over. It's not your show. Get off. Honestly, what? Where's he come from? You see, John, when you come in our puppet show, you might have to deal with him as well.
Well, touching grass is legal in 30 U.S. states.
Right. Are you ready, John? This is one is to trigger you. When you look at these old photographs, look at this. I thought Tom Baker's Fourth Doctor fell from a massive height, forced into a regeneration. It actually not.
It's actually a bit of the old Top of the Pops set, which if you look carefully, you might see part of Simon Le Bon's wig or hairpiece sort of caught in the scaffolding somewhere. But that's they actually borrowed this scenery, or some of it, from the Top of the Pops studio, which was filming next door at the old BBC television centre. But yeah, you're right. The magic of CSO made everything look as though they were atop Jordal Bank, when in fact they're in a corner of Studio 6, I think it was, in Television Centre.
Yeah, because
happy days.
Yeah, because Michelle, when you look back at the Logopolis, the episodes, especially the cliffhanger, I always remember as a kid the photograph of Anthony Ainley's Master when it's moving and it's a photograph and you're going, "Argh." But apart from that, I bought into most of the rest. It's a great height, it's a dramatic fall. But when you see this, you go, do you know what? Look, the fun actors must have. Oh.
Well, it just shows actors who are devoted to their craft, prop people who are devoted to their craft to try to make the best out of the limited budget that they had. I mean, and they had to work hard. And I think maybe this idea of Doctor Who having a blank check and they can do whatever they want to takes away some of the creativity, I want to say, because you had to make really good TV with limited budget. So it makes you think outside the box.
But interestingly, Brendan, it's like
Yeah.
other things we've said quite recently. While that's about 15 quid's worth of set there,
yeah.
it was $100 million worth of action and story that we got with Tom Baker's story. So it just shows you Doctor Who's not about big budgets, nor ever should it be.
And I just want to say, I mean, and please butt in, because there's so many photographs come in when you really feel it's triggered a memory or something, as well as a thread. But I just thought, Logopolis, I haven't seen this. And so Facebook, photo research, honestly, you see some of this and you're going, I'm seeing Logopolis in a different way. Have you ever had to do some crazy acting, Rachel, Hanny, pretending you're on a cliff edge when you're not?
No, not in that regard. I did something really weird years ago. It's probably a bit inappropriate to actually say on here, but it was against a white screen. So and that was to create like angelic sort of setting. It was a bit strange. I won't tell you what exactly I was doing. I've never seen it played back. I don't even have a copy of it. I couldn't even tell you who's got it now. But yeah, it was really weird. But not like green screen. I've worked in editing with green screen before, so I've done that kind of thing. I've done it the other way around, but not actually filmed against green screen myself, which is interesting. You'd think I would have done that, but I've done more predominantly sort of stage and voiceover anyway.
I mean, it. You don't need that big boom one, they went mad about that big LED screen, didn't they? Now, this one, I'm going to have to go a bit larger because this has been mentioned on a few Facebook threads. They found some new Space Pirates photographs in this old article. So I just want to say, there's stuff out there that we're still discovering. We may not get new whole episodes, etc., but there's 2 extra new photographs from Space Pirates. But because this show's about the big photographs that we can really see, there's a nice Troughton one just to keep you all happy. Power of the Daleks. I mean, I'm trying to think. I don't think we ever saw him in that hat after Power of the Daleks, did we? I think that was it.
No, according to all the rumours and all the apocryphal stories we've heard, that the hats were taken from him, trousers were taken in,
it sounds like the shooting
baggy, just in order to sort of get the costume the way the producers wanted it rather than what Patrick Troughton wanted. But that's fascinating photograph because you don't often see colorized photos of with the hat on, and that's a lovely silhouette of the Troughton Doctor with the equally lovely Ben and Polly there as well. I love that shade of blue in the control room there. Lovely.
Now, I'm going to ask the panel one question because, by the way, folks, we're going to do our first news item soon. We're going to intersperse the whole program with great shots. Okay, so you stay with us. But I want to ask you a question. We've just had the Shooty Doctor on here, but did the trans issue from the Star Beast onwards? You thought trans was a new thing in Doctor Who, didn't you? But I've just found new footage from all the way back in 1983. We had a trans actor then. Do you want to see?
Yes.
Sure. Yes, I can't wait.
There we go.
Oh.
There you go. I mean,
and I heard the producer and director did not find this funny.
Well, so there you go. Peter Davison, as I've never seen him before. I suppose that's the better shot. Is this to make?
I'm trying to work out whose dress is that?
He took Tegan's dress. He took
Tegan's. Yeah, I wonder is that Tegan's? Yeah.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, and apparently, they're getting silly, and apparently the director was like, Peter, take that off.
So maybe, anyway, so there you go. Nice.
That wasn't actors just messing around and pranking the producers, was it? Or anything like that? Are you sure?
Yeah, it looks like. I mean, to me, that's what it looks like. Yeah, I mean,
This sort of thing we would have done.
Still on the 5 Doctors, though.
That's a mile compared to what he did in front of a bunch of BBC executives, and he actually had Janet Fielding flash them.
So you've got good old Cybermen. We know the shots. I'm not showing them tonight. I'm showing shots that we may not have seen. So obviously the Cybermen didn't travel very well. I mean, they struggled with rain, and obviously we did see them sick on the show. I must admit that. I'd never seen this shot though before. Look at that.
Oh, what's that from?
Yep, like that.
That's really cool.
That's 5 Doctors.
Yeah. It's all 5 Doctors. So I won't go too.
5 Doctors.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's presumably.
I've not seen that photograph.
That is presumably
it was raining.
When the Cyberhead caves
in.
Yeah. Presumably one of the shots taken that wasn't actually on the film, but it's very that would have been better on screen. Love that.
That's really good. That would have been fantastic on screen. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was raining the day that they filmed the slag heap fight with the Cybermen going against the Ottoman warrior.
Yeah.
And there was concern because of how spongy and marshy the land was, that if the guys fell wrong and they started to sink, they would panic. And so there was very caretaken that the actors fell right and in a way that they felt safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, especially where the vomit is. But TARDIS Travels is saying exactly what I want this show to be about tonight, apart from some of the news. Not seen that photo before. And we're Doctor Who fans. Like I said, just settle in and enjoy. Get your popcorn out and enjoy this.
Remember, all of that, those images there, that was being directed by John Nathan Turner on a second unit because Peter Moffat was elsewhere. So we must thank John Nathan Turner for that, because I think that scene left to Peter Moffat would have been nowhere near as good.
Mm-hmm. Now, the controversy about Colin Baker and Vengeance on Varos and the violence and, bad Colin Baker's Doctor. Well, actually, this shot shows you that it was actually a fun time in the acid bath, actually. So, you
Isn't
know,
that the same set from Carry On Cleo? Is that Ass's Milk?
very possibly, you might just find Alma Sedgwick in there somewhere from Coronation Street.
She's probably frying chips.
But you see, I love this because everybody will mention the acid bath scene in Vengeance on Varos, of course, because we're Doctor Who fans and that's in the story and there was criticism. But I love to then see the shot where they're just chilling out. Do you know what I mean? It must be hard as an actor sometimes to go, this shot's going to be a very controversial shot with my Roger Moore line being witty about them burning. But, you know, come on. It's 3 actors in a room rehearsing, isn't it?
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's shot like that because it just lightens up the whole mood of it. Vengeance Varos is never a favourite of mine, have to be said, and I think that scene in particular didn't help Colin's Doctor establish himself in the way it should have. But to see that sign, it just shows everyone's having fun, and it's all essentially good fun. So yeah, that helps lighten what was a pretty tough scene and not one that's pretty well remembered in Doctor Who circles by a lot of people.
And this is what it's about tonight. I have to say, I want to have a laugh about Doctor Who again, and I thought this was one way of doing it. And I tell you what, Delta and the Bannermen, I know it's one of your favourites, John, but they were having fun there. Look at them, the yellow coats. It's Heidi High.
It is.
They were trying out for the barbershop quartet at Disneyland.
It is, yeah. There's a fabulous Stubby K and Hugh Lloyd there as well. I was so pleased to see Stubby K in Doctor Who because he sang one of the favourite musical songs, "Sit Down, You're Rocking the Boat," and to see him in Doctor Who was fabulous. And Hugh Lloyd, who for international viewers may not know, but appeared with practically every British comedian in a sitcom right through the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and indeed 90s until he died. It was just great to eventually have him in Doctor Who. And do you know what? That's not a bad-looking costume for the Doctor either, is it?
Yeah. I mean, if I just for a second just show that. Yeah, I mean, look at it. I mean, it's just seeing them. I personally have not seen Sylvester McCoy in that. So I'm just fascinated by
It suits him.
how they all look different, how I don't know. It's just, this is why we love Doctor Who in so many different ways. It's the stories, it's the characters, but sometimes it's also knowing there's a great vibe about the program, and you can tell there's a great vibe going on here.
Sylvester McCoy was somebody that you couldn't leave unsupervised on the set because he would get bored easy and get into trouble. There's a story in the book Behind the Sofa from another co-worker from another production that was with him during his Shakespeare days, where he arrived first at a hotel and was bored and was rolling around in the parking lot telling people not to eat the fish.
Well, there you go. So I'm just going
to
be careful. I'm just going to make sure I've got the thread involved, of course. That's the important thing as well. So Sean Cryer, Bannermen's and one of my guilty pleasures. I remember being on another stream saying we should do a program about guilty pleasures, and I might do it on ours at some point. SG, let's have a look. I think Terence Dix had to come quickly up with a way of getting rid of the Cybermen in the 5 Doctors, so he came up with the Raston Rory robot. Oof, great shot as well. Sean Cryer loves that shot of the Cybermen, and it is disturbing. That's maybe why I suppose it was cut out. You never know. Of course, Greg Smith, and I've had this on before, my favourite shot is a Cyberman smoking a cigarette between takes. Yeah.
And then flammable that is on that costume. I mean, gee, there's nothing there that can make him go up in this, you know.
They had that in the
isn't that how that earlier photograph of the Cyberman on fire was? He maybe having a fag?
Yeah, well, that's why our government's going to ban it. Might kill Cybermen.
For American audiences, that word means something different to us.
Or even a ciggy, so a cigarette fag. Yeah. British audiences, you know what a fag is.
Yeah, well,
I did gesticulate to sort of.
Now we've got to be careful that we don't intersperse and get it run the toxicity that can be in Doctor Who's talking and streaming and fandom mixed with our old love of Who. So we're going to attempt with our first item.
Go back one. That's lovely.
I didn't make that. I just found that on Facebook.
That's really good. I like that.
Yes, it's
that's the best thing she's ever been in.
Yeah, she was good at that. So, of course, 49 years ago, this last week, a couple of days, we had Terror of the Zygons. So, as my first guilty pleasure of tonight, we'll have more photographs soon. Don't worry, folks, in the thread. But I just want to mention Terror of the Zygons, because if we talk about golden memories and golden moments, this is maybe another one. So, of course, I don't know what. I mean, just look at this for a second. You know, just seeing it from the Radio Times makes me feel so kind of nostalgic. And you see the little write-up. Remember when we didn't know what this story was about? Disaster in the North Sea brings the Doctor to Scotland. Well, soon there'll be no oil in the North Sea, because we're going to shut it all down. We're really going for it here at the moment, aren't we? But look at that illustration. That really does grab you. So 49 years ago, I don't think some of us were here.
No, I wasn't.
Well, TARDIS Travels appreciates that. The great artwork from Frank Bellamy. I'll show it one more time there, because yes, it stand out. Look at that. Just doing the job.
I will say the Zygon costume is one of my favorites. That couldn't have been easy to move in, but it has to be one of my favorites.
No, and while I'm here,
No.
and just say anything, but look at this. Seaside specials on after Doctor Who. You then had Walt Disney before, just to give you that lovely kind of vibe of what.
Can we stop you warbling on about the BBC schedule later after Doctor Who, which was rubbish? To go back to what Rachel was saying about the Zygon costume, she's absolutely spot on. One of the best and most original Doctor Who costumes, and yet again done on a budget. And when the new series attempted to do Zygons with a bigger budget, they didn't do it anywhere near as well. Those costumes in original Zygons were far superior to new Zygons, because again, they've got to fiddle, got to make things better as they see it. There was far more going on with John Woodnought's Proton than there ever was with some of the more modern stuff. But Rachel's, without moaning too much, Rachel on an upbeat show, Rachel's quite right, one of the best
And we did
features in Doctor Who ever.
And you may remember, because I'll advertise it in a moment, when we did the Terror of the Zygons review, I did do a space junk item, and we compared the new Zygons with the old Zygons, and I think we were unanimous with
we said the
Rachel.
same thing then, yes, yeah.
Yeah. So since we're doing rare photographs, and since we're talking about Zygons, I thought, well, here you go then. There's a rare shot of behind-the-scenes footage of the Zygons in their lair. But
look how much money was spent on that set. Look at it. That's basically papier-mâché shoved against a few flats, sprayed green and left to dry. It's wonderful, isn't it?
Yeah. And that, I mean, you see so many shots of the same. I mean, I was looking for shots for the Terror of the Zygons review, but I didn't find these ones. So I just like to see them in different positions. And yes, that is the review we did a few months ago. It's still out there. When we reviewed Terror of the Zygons, it isn't a guilty pleasure. It's just fun. It's a classic.
Mm-hmm.
So, right. Bit of news, right? Hold on. Let's just let the toxins in for a second, and let's get everybody. And then I promise you more brilliant, shocking, new footage from Doctor Who over the years. Right. Okay. SFX magazine on the 4th of September has the third installment of RTD's interview. I feel a saloon coming. I feel that there'll be a stream on Rachel's channel. It's always, but yeah. Russell T. Davies says he's hopeful that Doctor Who will be renewed for season 3. Well, I think me and I was going to say call you Susan then. Now what's going on here? Me and Rachel have done streams about this, and we've talked about the fact that he's hopeful. This is how the industry works, and he does all this lot. But what's everybody thinking? I mean, John, how are you feeling about this season 3 talk? Because there is a feeling that if the decision hasn't been made, and the decision might be made, even if we're going to be hopeful, after season 2's been aired, then there's going to be a big gap. And here we go again. So is the big news tonight, not that season 3 has been cancelled, but season 3 has been heavily delayed?
I think the big news for me is I couldn't care. And that's where I'm at with Doctor Who now. The very fact that I, and presumably a whole swathe of Doctor Who fans, young and old, couldn't care less. And that's what they've done to us with this iteration of Doctor Who. Both Michelle and I began the previous season, the one that's just passed, with high hopes. And we were prepared to give the benefit of the doubt to some fairly ropey scripts and some fairly, not so good starts to the program, we were prepared to invest in it and give him the benefit of the doubt. By the time we got to the end of this, I'm now at the stage where I just think, and forgive the French, that they're peeing all over Doctor Who in its memory now. And I would much rather they went away and did their own thing. So if Doctor Who has a season 2, I wish it well. I hope it's good. I shall watch it, and I wish it well. I hope they've learned their lesson. But knowing what I do about season 2, that it's already pre-filmed and there was very little that could change about it, given the reaction to season 1, I don't hold high hopes. Well, if there's not going to be a season 3, I think that's probably a good thing. What Doctor Who has to do now is get out of the clutches, not have a rest, just get out of the clutches of the people who have pinned it to the ground for whatever motives they have and battered the life out of it. So do I care there's going to be a delay to season 3? No. Do I care if there is a season 3? I couldn't care less. And this is coming from someone who's prepared to give Russell Davies the absolute benefit of the doubt. They have reaped the whirlwind, not the Rani in this case.
Yeah, I mean, last week when we were on our Sunday show, I listed all the programs, and you can see how I got more angry and more disappointed as the season went on. So if it's done that to you, John, I think, Michelle, you've said the same. I mean, in the early ones with Space Babies and Devil's Cod, you were still trying to give it a chance, weren't you?
I did until Empire of Death, and that just broke me. And I'm still a Doctor Who fan. I'm still here, but I think we're going to go into what happened during the classic era, where it's not canceled, but it's not renewed either. So I think we're going to go into another, wilderness era, and I think it does need to go into a wilderness era until certain things in Hollywood change. And who knows how long that's going to be. But at this point, we still got the classic, and so that's really.
I mean, I do think.
I'm sorry to do this to you, but swallow in my head. Otherwise, I forget.
They have vitamins for that.
Yeah, no, I'll go to bed shortly. Don't worry about it. That helps. But what's important here is I don't really care what happens in Hollywood. I know Hollywood has a great deal of influence about entertainment throughout the Western world and beyond, but what Doctor Who has to do now, I think, is just get out of the clutches of fans who have claimed an ownership over this, be it Chibnall, Moffat, Russell Davies. It just needs to get out of their hands. What it needs is for someone who knows television, who knows how to tell good stories, to come and take this over. Now, that takes 2 years, great. If it takes 12 years, I might not stick around to see it. I might not be here to see it. But nonetheless, that's what it needs. Unfortunately, Doctor Who now is a bit of a fan plaything, a bit like old Sutekh. It's just become something as a tool for Russell Davies and Chibnall before him to use to get a message across, to exemplify the politics, to speak to a younger generation. Call it what you want. I don't know. What it isn't is an entertainment show designed to put young people behind the sofa and make the rest of us all enjoy ourselves. It's not that anymore. And that's the reason why we are where we are. We're true fans of the show, and who have been for 60 years and more, just don't care anymore. That is where the current iteration of Doctor Who has brought us. And I'll keep saying it. I wasn't willing this to fail. I was willing this to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
This is their failure, not mine.
Mm-hmm.
But this is what I mean, John. I was as hopeful as you, wasn't I? But as I was streaming 2 or 3 shows or whatever a week, I noticed I was changing my mood. I was changing my focus. And I did make a decision. Sorry, mate, RTD. I am not going to just passively accept this anymore. I am actually going to challenge some of your inconsistencies. Rachael, I know you've been going down the same road on this one, but this quotation here, it says, this is RTD, of course. It's an industry decision. It's like any business. These things take time. I think the decision will come after the transmission of season 2. That's what we're expecting. That's what we've always been heading towards. You see, we know he talked recently about, I'm already writing season 3, but to me, there's something weird here. I think the big news here, Rachael, is that there's no news because surely a popular program, they want to buy it. They want to commission it. Why delay?
Well, They're delaying because obviously there's misgivings. In some respects, this is also a bit of a common practice, but you also hear early on when something else is being recommissioned. Example is, I believe, if I've got this correct, I don't know if I am, House of the Dragon has been commissioned for another series. I think that's correct. I don't know,
Yeah.
just off the top of my head.
HBO very commonly will renew almost immediately during
Yeah.
series opening. They'll give like 2 or 3 seasons based off of a really good pilot.
That's right. Yeah. So it will happen. If anything, they'll wait until series 2. I guess you could say, see what's going on with that. If it doesn't get off to a good start, then they won't say anything, and it'll probably be about a month before they actually make a formal announcement after that. A bit like what they did with the Acolyte, because that got axed. That's gone. And I guess they'll go from there. So they're probably going to have to wait until season 2 plays out. And if it's really good, if it's really popular and amazing, they'll probably announce it pretty quickly. But they've not announced anything just yet. So there's obviously some misgivings before they're going to announce it.
But from what we know, we're getting more of the same. Am I right? We're getting more of the same.
From what I understand, yeah.
Yeah, in his last interview, the one I mentioned in my last saloon, he said there'll be more monsters and more robots, and Mrs. Flood will be explained. But apart from that, it'll be the same.
Well, you mean the same way that Ruby's mother was explained? That was werewolf.
Exactly. Yeah.
That lame duck. Yeah.
Sean Cryer.
I'm just all a shiver with excitement.
Sean Cryer, I never had any confidence in Davy's return. I did, Sean. I've got to be honest. You know, I wish I was one of those who said I saw it coming. I didn't. It seemed obvious to me that his more extreme proclivities would be exposed in there. Well, you've been proven right. I was hoping not, but you've been proven right.
Brendan, Sean is absolutely right. He has been proven right, because I felt exactly the same, if not more so than you did. Because purely for one reason, Russell Davies became known in the television industry, in the wider world, as the man who, if you like, rescued Doctor Who, brought it back to a mainstream audience. Now, we all knew that in the 70s and 80s, well, most of the 70s, Doctor Who was a mainstream hit anyway. But nonetheless, Doctor Who become niche, cultish, and all the rest of it. And you got suggestions like Paul Daniels being Doctor Who. But Russell Davies brought it back, made it mainstream, made it pop, made it a huge, big mainstream hit. And I was convinced that he would not rain on that particular parade. He would not go back unless he had something really, really special to do. Unfortunately, he has that. And I think he's going to rue the day, because I think he genuinely thought that with streaming, with social media and all that, he would have a whole new audience waiting there to take on Doctor Who, and the rest of us is just GTH, you know, and then we'd be gone. That's not happened, because what may change, modern audiences may grow, and older and younger people may come on board. But what can't change ever are good stories well told. And that's what he hasn't done in this season, and what Chibnall failed to do before him. So he's now struggling because that new audience hasn't appeared.
No. And as Darren Dolby, I didn't think this. Whilst it's great to see the diamond logo again, the show is not the same as it was when it was first used. We've mentioned Sutekh. We've mentioned various things he's borrowed from Old Who and ruined. Regeneration, I was mentioning the other day, he's ruined. And yes, Darren, I'd never even thought he's trespassed all over the diamond logo as well. Yeah, the diamond logo, which we linked to the 70s, has now been used in a bad way. TARDIS Travels says Mrs. Flood is a lame duck. You know, there's another inconsistency. RTD always says he's.
Is that a spoiler? She's
well, yeah. Well, she was in the. I mean, I was discussing the other day on my detox. She was doing the proms. As if she's the big thing. Mind you, Jinx Monsoon was on that as well. My name is Charlie, says, I think I had its day. Let it go and let's celebrate the best of what's gone before. And don't worry, my name is Charlie. We're going to do that in a moment with more. Don't you worry. Paul Richards, I never like RTD's goofy cartoon-like version of Who, which has got more like that, I'll be honest with you. I really do think. Just checking, we've got a few more. Oh, there's some great people on I've not seen before. Live from the Roadhouse podcasts. We should all meet up, shouldn't we? I think I'm right in saying that the last 2 seasons were shot late in the year until June the following year. So season 3 would have begun shooting in the autumn of this year. Yes, and it hasn't. He's writing it. Shooty's not filming, is he, Rachel? Because he's obviously doing the importance of being earnest.
He's got the importance of being earnest, I think, until the end of the year. I can't remember what his dates were confirmed, but he's gone into rehearsals for that now. So it will be very soon. It's hot topic. They're all talking about it. I'd like to see if I can get a ticket to go and see it. It'd be interesting to see what his acting is like on the stage, away from Doctor Who, with actually something that is a bit more of a not contemporary. That's the wrong word.
Classic.
Classic. Thank you. Classic piece. So
I wonder what he'll wear.
me too.
Might not wear much. Yeah. I saw more
I think
photographs.
with a good producer director, he's a good actor. That's why I'm frustrated, because I think and I know a lot of people disagree, but I think he has the ability to be a good actor.
I think he's better than the stuff he's been given, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
Because I think he was good. He was good in Masters of Air, and I think he was also very good in when he did the Shakespeare play thing for the King's coronation.
I know, but yeah, I know what you mean. It was only a blooming scene, though. I have to say, I thought that was all tedious. But right, before we move on, I haven't. I mean, Rachel's given me her opinion on this, and she can give us another one because we've got only 50 years to discuss on this one. Since 75, we were told in one of the many interviews that Sutekh's just been snoring on the top of the TARDIS, hiding. So I'm dying to find out there. Yes, here, John. Let's have a look.
I've got my Sutekh. There he is.
Ah, well,
The TARDIS.
I'll be intrigued what your answers are on this one, because I don't think you've been on a stream when I've asked you. So I'll just do my little segment first, and then we'll be back to the 40s, everybody. Yes, well, so I'll get straight into it. So, Michelle, you've obviously, like every Doctor Who fan, thought about this. All those stories when we've now been told Sutekh was just snoring like Snoopy on the top of the TARDIS. Is there one story in mind where you think, oh, for God's sake, this is crazy? Because I was thinking of the Crucible and Journey's End, Frontiers we've all mentioned. There's various ones. Is there one that comes to mind where you think this is stupid?
All of them. I'm being honest. All it just makes no bloody sense. Although maybe that explains why the TARDIS is actually Sutekh just snoring.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, now, John, have you got any theories? As in, which stories where do you view now and go, oh, you've wrecked that with this stupid idea that he's sat on the top?
Yeah, I was just wondering about Castrovalva when Tegan landed the TARDIS. Now, in all those nettles, I mean, did that mean that Sutekh had to, when they were all looking for Castrovalva, did he have to come off the TARDIS and go looking for bay leaves to rub into his backside because he had all stinging nettles up his bum? Did that happen?
Well, I mean, maybe he was staying on the top of the TARDIS waiting for the Big Bang because they were heading for the Big Bang, weren't they? Maybe he thought this sounds like a great nightclub.
Yeah, well, could have been. Maybe he was waiting to be joined there by Adric.
Or time flight where the TARDIS had to lay on its side. You know, I mean, because this goes back, all of them. It makes no sense.
No,
yeah, I'm sure there would be some British Airways stewards would come along very camply and told Sutekh, "No dogs on board, Lavie. No dogs on board."
Well, it's amazing you've just mentioned that. But in Concorde, how did Sutekh fit in Concorde's hold? I mean, wow. I mean, that should have been the selling point in Time Flight. Mm-hmm. We've actually got a big dog in the hold here.
What the Doctor must have been huge excess baggage for the TARDIS with Sutekh atop it.
Oh God, yeah! Don't use Ryanair with Sutekh on the top.
Which one is it? Like, is it Legopolis or the Keeper of Traken, where Adric's laying on top of the TARDIS when it's in, like mini TARDIS inside the TARDIS?
It's Legopolis, yeah. Now, was Adric lying on top of? Well, I'm trying to
You've also got to remember that Captain Jack was holding on to the TARDIS for a whole in between an episode. So was he holding on to the dog's leg? Was he holding on to something before?
Oh, it was something else. Well,
let's not go there. But anyway,
it could have been. I don't know. Was Sutekh neutered?
Ooh,
Oh, well,
oh.
is it against his human right?
He
Not human
might
right.
not have been because he had to buy a generator as well, didn't he?
He said he got bigger. He
Listen,
said
He
in
gave Captain Jack more to hang on to.
he did say in Empire of Death, he said, I have been on this TARDIS and I've got bigger and bigger and become, you know, and right.
What about in Trial of the Time Lord? How did the other Time Lords actually not know that Sutekh was on top of the TARDIS? Because surely the perception filter would have, they would have been able to see the TARDIS, wouldn't they? They would have been able to see him on top.
It's a good question, except they were so rubbish with Invasion of Time with them. You know, I mean, they couldn't even. They were getting attacked by plastic bags and they didn't notice. I mean,
and you mentioned, I may well have missed this one. When the TARDIS turns into an organ in Tax of the Cybermen, did Sutekh get the wind up him?
Yeah, he became a big organ for once. The god of organs.
Well, maybe that was another thing that Captain Jack could have held on to, another organ.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a good idea, isn't it? Attack of the Cybermen, because he was played with as well. He was played.
Did he get the wind up?
And they hit a bum note, and we could have had the
silence. As Corporal Jones said in Dad's Army, they don't like it up them.
Well, and I don't think Sutekh does. That flashing light. So advertising his backside, I don't know. Crimpling doubloon. Was Sutekh painted pink in the Happiness Patrol? If he were invisible, shouldn't that have made him visible? Or crimpling? These are questions that need answering, but you know, RTD doesn't like to explain anything anymore.
But he did, because apparently Sutekh was asleep.
He was asleep. He was just hiding when all the time he could have killed the Doctor because he controlled the TARDIS. Honestly, he created his own plot holes. Anyway, Rob Fellows in Midnight, Sutekh was just chilling with Donna. Yes, he was. He had a little swimming trunks on, and he was swimming. Dogs love swimming, don't they? So yeah, he was having a little swim with Donna.
Well, some dogs, not all dogs like a good swim.
Yeah. John Yulden, good to see you. Makes me worry just what Adric was doing on. Well, look, come on now. No more. Let's enjoy ourselves. Let's enjoy ourselves. So let's really go. And to be honest, we've been having a laugh like you do in Carry On. Peter Butterworth. Look at that. A shot of Peter Butterworth and William Hartnell in rehearsals. And of course, this will be the Dalek Master Plan as well. Look at that. I don't know. Does it do anything to you when you see these behind the scenes shots, especially the color ones? But when I saw Peter Butterworth just stood there going, you know.
That's great. You know, the interesting thing about that is that neither are in costume. Yeah. So it'd be presumably that's in the afternoon. Even they might have had a camera run or dry run. I don't know. But most photographs, when you see them doing camera tests, they are even partially in costume, but they're wearing the civvies here, so
yeah,
I don't know how early on that was taken, but
I saw.
You're right, Brent. It's a great picture.
Well, I mean, please talk over me, the other two as well. I was just going to mention, because the thread keep asking. These are from the Doctor Who Photo Research Facebook group, and the point John was just making was there's a lot of these behind the scenes shots where they're actually in their own kind of clothes. So there must have been some sort of run through as they kind of walk down around the set, and the directors, I don't know, something.
They don't tend to do that nowadays.
No, it's a bit like soaps, isn't it? Straight in, isn't it? Bang.
Well, soaps are very, very different. Soaps tend to have like a static cam sort of set up a couple of, you know, different angles, and then there's a panning camera, and then for something like Doctor Who, they wouldn't really have that because obviously it's more sort of technical. So they'll set up different angled shots, and it'll probably be just that one camera, like on a tripod or a handheld, when they have various different types that they use and various different ways of using it.
Back in those days, they would get a whole week of rehearsal for the
yeah, that's right.
And then
but now they don't.
On the Friday, and during the afternoon, they'd have a run through for the cameras, blocking it and just seeing what had already been blocked. But but the photographs we got from those times tended to be they'd been partial costume, you know. So rarely did we see them in their civvies like that, you know. So that's the fascinating thing about that. So that was obviously done in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And then I dare say both Hartnell and Peter Butterworth would have gone off, had their dinner, and get into costume, ready for the evening's recording.
Well, Greg Smith agrees. I mean, who disagrees? I love the color photographs of old Who, and this is what I mean. So yes, I'm glad you like that one. It's from the same story, the Dalek Master Plan, and I have to say the model effects. You just think, and I have to say, if I go large, if you look on the shot on the left, the size. When we talk about budget and Doctor Who,
It's great.
look at it. I mean, honestly, I know it was a 12.
I mean, like, beautiful shot work, beautiful model work.
It is, yes. That's sort of worthy of Jerry Anderson stuff, isn't it? That, you know, yeah. That's sort of
Now,
model.
I haven't heard that name in a while.
So churning through for a second, I had not seen this photograph of Totter's Lane. I've seen a slightly different one, but it just gives you a more kind of view of the street. The painted studio floor, the sneaky peek into where history is going to be changed for all of us. Good old Totter's Lane. Not like
I will say something about that set.
Yeah, go on.
It's a very real looking set. Like when I first watched, obviously I didn't watch this in the 60s because I wasn't around, but when I first watched it, I truly believed that, I don't know why I did, because I've done lots of jobs, but I truly believed they were outside on location, filming on location, because the set was that good.
It's that there's the full of it. I don't think I've even seen it videoed or recorded, the whole road. Obviously there was a car on it at a certain viewpoint and they were noseying through fog, weren't there? But it's just that. So there's a few Unearthly Child ones. I mean, because it's Totter's Lane, just look at some of these. I mean, just butt in when you want. This looks like Steptoe's backyard suddenly. Steptoe and son.
Yes, yeah. You dirty old man.
Yeah, and I mean, if you really think about it, it's in
the original TARDIS.
Yeah, and it's in that first episode only, and all this setup. And yes, I've never seen the TARDIS with the blanked out back. You see, and I thought, oh, okay. Look at the steps upstairs, which there's never used. I mean, just unbelievable. This is history for our favorite show. This is just. Oh.
And the one on my left, you look like that's the painted backdrop. That's an oilcloth.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that.
No, you can't tell from camera.
No, you can't. No. Yeah. So they've obviously got the depth of that right, because that's very difficult to do.
Yeah,
sort of thing.
But these were talented set designers who probably came from theater, who knew how to do very small micro sets for the TV era, and knew how to make them look lived in.
They still use that skill today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to keep up with some of the thread, Paul Richards is loving the junkyard, as we all do. I have to say, it's so depressing that they can't show it on BBC iPlayer at the moment. What a damn shame. Lee Smith, strange they didn't use a relocation, as Rachel was hinting that she thought it was. Peter Harrington, beautiful detail in it. If you have a look, it was really thought out, and it was. And I know I've come to the classroom, but just the amount. But this is what the BBC were good at, actually. I have to say that props for everything, every era. Crimpling is getting stressed now. Whose bike is that? Is it Mrs. Flood's bike? But yes, Rob Fellows agrees. Steptoe could easily walk out of that. Sean Cryer only has to say that police box. This is the first. Oh, this is when it all changed. I always remember Colin Baker saying that. He's a uni student. He stood there and he watched the whole 25 minutes, stood watching. He loved it so much. I mean, the thread's loving this, and why not? I mean, this is what it's all about. One of the Doctor Who monthly specials, says David Mullen, produced a studio plan for An Earthly Child, unbelievably tight and cramped. David, it's amazing what they do with some of the angles, and actually we'll mention Happiness Patrol later, where I think the angles aren't quite right, really. But yes, too true. So yes, we have to, if we talk about Doctor Who, go to here. And this was that's just a bog standard classroom, but that classroom is not the classroom from Remembrance of the Daleks. And then there you go, just another angle. So yeah, where history started. It's also not the classroom where Clara was in teaching. Remember, we end up everybody now teaches at this blooming school.
That That
So-
got closed down, but somehow got reopened. And
So let's jump, Doctor, for a moment. Let's jump to Claws of Axos, and I just look at that little. It's the mini. Look at the little mini with the Axons having a kind of fag break. Just look at that.
they look like little blood clots running around.
Yeah, I mean, how do you have a lie down? Some of these I'm going to have to make bigger.
Are they trying to break a world record? How many axons can you get in a mini? Is that what they're just doing?
Can you imagine that being delivered on pallet?
And he's getting his shoes on too. He has to get his little shoes on. He can't even lean over to do it. He's getting his little Axon shoes on.
Yeah, his little. I mean, I
He
just
falls over and he's like, "A little help, please, a little help."
I find it so funny. I mean, number one, it's them just with their heads, off, and then seeing the little mini. I don't know, because you like to see the era, don't you, as well? I don't know.
Okay, and is that also that's at the moment where the guy goes that he needs to take a wee, and the prop designer says, "I told you to go before you got it dressed."
And here, look at this. I just love to see that set when you go into the Axon spaceship. Look at that. And then, Roger Delgado chilling, because of course the weather was a bit inclement. It was weird, wasn't it? They had to kind of write it into the script, didn't they, John?
They did, yes. What was it they said? What was it the line they use at the tracking station? Freak weather conditions and
That's
dungeon ness. But I'm just fascinated by that picture. I think John Levine's obviously reaping the benefits of his first couple of paychecks, and he's bought himself a big fancy furry actory darling.
Yeah.
Look what I bought. I invested in this lovely jacket. Bless him.
I made
Roger Delgado is just breathing it out and showing what the trooper he is in his flimsy Nero suit there, just breathing in the cold. But I've never seen that picture I've certainly never seen that coat before on John Levine's back.
Yeah.
Pertwee could have got away with something like that.
Yeah, well, maybe he was inspired by Pertwee.
Yeah.
Now, this shot,
we frequently took his coat off and put it on Katie Manning when she was cold.
this shot,
It's what you do, yeah.
this shot just absolutely grabs me, because you've got passengers on the train and they are watching Dave the Daleks as they go past. I mean, do you want that train to break down? Yes. Do you want
it had been like such a delight for the people on the train to look out, and all of a sudden they're a kid again. There's the Daleks right there.
I thought perhaps this was a mashup we were doing here. The Daleks are going to come out and assassinate the children waiting from the railway children waiting to the train as the old gentleman waves at them from the train.
Yeah,
Where's Jenny Agutter? Why isn't she being exterminated?
We've got to be modern. Maybe John Levine waves his red knickers instead and stops the train. I mean, I'm sorry, but sometimes there's a shot. This is what I mean when I looked through some of these photographs. The mini and the Axons. But then I saw this and I thought, there's a story there. Can you imagine being?
It is. I can't understand after all these years why we've never seen that. That's a fantastic photograph. Fantastic.
Years ago, I read a story before I became a Doctor Who fan that it was actually in the magazine 40 Times that one time during filming of a Doctor Who episode, I'm not sure which one it was, a woman reported that she saw a Yeti-like creature, and it was actually a Doctor Who extra that got heat sick and had wandered off set, and he almost got hit by this woman's car.
I thought you were about to say she saw this Yeti sitting on her loo in Tooting Bec.
Yeah.
But no, she almost hit him. The guy got heat. The story is the guy was getting heat sick and was wandering off, and he almost got become a hood ornament on a car.
So just to keep reminding us, the thread like this shot. They like the court, as John was talking about. Farsight, I'd have pulled the emergency stop. Yeah. Let's just pay the fine.
Been worth the fine.
David Harding, that'd be a real treat for the passengers on that train. Yeah, what was that movie called? It's based on a book, isn't it? When you see a murder on the train, but this is better. You saw Ogrons and Daleks on a train. Sean Cryer, that is wonderful. It does me too. Oh God, I can't. If you're a school kid going to school on the train, can you imagine the stories you would tell? It's a bit like the fisherman who says it was this big. Great train robbery.
Because everybody was rushing to the side to look out at the Daleks.
Yes. Well, there's another train behind it. I don't know if they've all stopped. Crimpling doubloon. Imagine being on that train as a kid. Ma'am, I can see Daleks. Don't be silly. Sit still. Shut your face. John Yulden, the Ogrons jumped the train. You've got Rob Fellows. This service is delayed due to Daleks on the track. We will let you know when we have further information.
Better than sheep on the line.
Yes.
But, it would probably be in British Rail with the wrong sort of Daleks on the track.
Yes. We've only been... So I think this has gone down well. There is a black and white shot that's a bit different. I mean, look, some of the windows are open. Can you imagine it?
You can see the passengers looking out. You can see on the top on
waving the knickers.
Mm-hmm. Well, John, get your mind out of the gutter.
So there you go. Now this one, he wasn't John Pertwee the Green Cross Code man for a while. He taught us how to cross a road, but here he's obviously been very stupid. And these are photo shots I hadn't seen. I've seen the famous ones of him when he stood by a wall, isn't he? And the Daleks are just out of shot, so to speak, for the Day of the Daleks. This is obviously photo shoot stuff for Day of the Daleks, but he's on the zebra crossing and he's been, I mean, I'm sorry, these Daleks are like aggressive lollipop ladies.
They're mugging him. They're mugging him.
Yeah, I mean, look at him. I mean,
he's totally being mugged. He's totally being mugged right now.
Splink. They got in his splink.
It looks like downtown London. It looks like downtown London now.
Yeah, so that
your car keys.
So that was it. Strangers on a Train. Thank you, Peter Harrington. I was trying to remember what it was. David Harding, all these old photos make me really want to grab my DVDs and Blu-rays and give some stories another viewing. David, then my job is done. We're Doctor Who fans. You can imagine when I saw these photographs, you just go, do you know what? I really do like Doctor Who. And it's given me, I don't know. Day of the Daleks, never mind that train. I remember being in Torquay in a little caravan with a black and white portable, and we're supposed to be having a holiday. And I saw this little image of Day of the Daleks, and I wanted to stay in the caravan, but of course I was only about 3, so out. Remember when your parents used to say you'd get square eyes, and they used to say, it's sunny day, get out the house. I mean, and you're thinking, yeah, but White Horses is on, Flash Gordon's on, the Banana Splits are on, remember. Sorry, I'm being very British there. Okay, so let's continue look, the giant robot diminished.
Michael Kilgariff, that is, isn't it? In the
yes,
who was the cyber controller and would be again, but this time with a punch. Who's in that? So that's an actual actor operating that huge contrivance. Yeah, bless him.
It's funny because it was called Robot. The book was called The Giant Robot, and of course, less giant now. And of course, do you want to see what he was like with his clothes off? I'm sure Shooty's Dr. Wood. There it is on the left.
John
there you go. Too. Oh, look, all the pieces. And I just thought I'd link this photograph with obviously Melker. So you've got Melker, who doesn't look as aggressive now and intimidating as he did in that grove. And then you've got the robot. I mean, oh, Sean, that's a lovely comment, because do you know what? I was sick of talking about RTD tonight. Sean Cryer, in the comments, I asked for something to be positive about, and by God, you've delivered. This is marvelous stuff. And it's great. I've got 3 Doctor Who fans on. We've got a thread full of Doctor Who fans. And please tell us anything this inspires. Good, funny, whatever. Who cares? It's nostalgia.
This is one of the reasons why, even though it doesn't get many viewings, I have Keep It Positive on my channel on a Thursday. So if people who watch the other stuff, because I cover all sorts of things, but they can dip into that if they want to. It's just there as an option. Otherwise, it wouldn't be there on a Thursday. But that's why I put it there.
Yeah,
it's good to do it, isn't it?
We have to remind ourselves sometimes. We have to, because sometimes you feel as though you're being baited, that actually we love this show. We're passionate about this show. And there's a lot of reasons why. It's memories attached to an episode. It's certain characters. It's just a certain vibe. Now, this one, again on height, I talked about the giant robot being diminished. This is obviously from Deadly Assassin, where the Fourth Doctor's been tortured in that tower. Well, and of course he's only on a little plinth. And you just think it's clever stuff what they did. We all know what they were doing. It was a painted kind of a backdrop, but oh god, just look at this. And just to
So
help
that
you,
was also done, I think, as a bit of an inlay or glass shot.
yes, yes,
The Doctor, you could see the high tower spreading down, a little shot of the Doctor being hung with Spandrel and Hildred in the booth too. So again, a shot like that back in those days would have been a huge setup for the studio. So although it's only on for 30 seconds, 90 seconds, however long it is,
yeah.
that's a huge setup in terms of time in the studio for them to do that. Far, far more, if you like, labor intensive than it is money intensive nowadays. And that's why I love this program so much, because it mattered. It didn't have to look good. It looked the best it could be for the time it was. It wasn't about money. It wasn't about the effect. The Deadly Assassin happens to be my favorite Doctor Who story of all time. Never changed over the years. It's always been Deadly Assassin for me. And they just made Doctor Who look the best they could for the money they had. It wasn't about spectacle or bangs and flashes. And they did the best they could with the technology they had then. And great and good on them. But you know what? They did their best for that and at the same time delivered a cracking story too. There's a little lesson there.
There is, and I think your apt point about this will have only been seconds on the screen, but yeah, the big setup of it, and of course, again, another behind the scenes shot where they're neither not wearing their cap, they're not wearing their costume. All three of those actors are not fully in garb. They're going through the.
That's what we were talking about earlier on. So that would have been the rehearsal. So they're in partial costume, but not civvies like Butterworth and Hartnell were earlier on. That's why that original photo you showed from Dalek Master Plan is so fascinating, Brendan, because it's them in the cities. Yeah.
Well, because it also makes me wonder about actors actually, because you know they've got the script, they've thought about it, they've talked in their rehearsals, obviously at acting, how to go through it and project and all the rest of it. But if the only ever time is when you're in full garb with each other is actually when you're recording, that's quite dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why the reason why so many Doctor Who monster shots in the classic series, you know, they might not have worked because they only get the actor in the costume once they get to the studio, and while they've rehearsed doing certain things at the Acton Hilton, as they called it then, it was all good fun. And then once they actually got the actor into the costume, they realised there was a certain degree of lack of flexibility, lack of movement, be it the pterodactyl costume in terms of what he could do with his arms, or the plasmatons in Time Flight, who could only basically walk without falling over. But that's why those rehearsals were so important, because they invested so much time in the performance, in the dialogue, in the performance and the scripting and fixing things as they went along. Television is made very differently nowadays. I get that, but nonetheless, it was about performance and story rather than spectacle. I'm repeating myself, but it's worth repeating.
Well, we'll keep moving, because I think the thread will want us to do more. So, we mentioned John Nathan Turner earlier. Now, from the Leisure Hive, and I have to say, I'm going to give John Nathan Turner credit. You have to be fair with things, because as somebody said on my stream the other day, as in the thread afterwards, they were explaining that while me on the Detox, we were all talking about the Leisure Hive. It's so many years since it was on. And while we were talking about what worked and what didn't, and I know John will mention Leisure Hive in a minute, but that shot where, it looked as though there was a undocking procedure going. It was an interesting visual with some great Peter Howell music. But look at J&T. He's taken over as producer. I assume I'd call this very hands-on, very interested, wanting to really check everything. Now, you could argue showrunner RTD is a bit like that now, drawing Sutekh and everything. But I will say hats off that he's checking every detail out here, J&T. And there's just one more to pair off with it. There's J&T again, just checking out the Formosa.
Yeah. And it did need checking out. They weren't the best of costumes.
They had bellies.
Another example of what we just spoke about, that the intention there was to produce a sort of lizard-like skin, which in the studio lighting would give a sort of, there was some sort of fluidity about the lizard-like skin, the foam-y, but under the studio lights, it just didn't work. But the point was, they were trying and they continued to try. And if it didn't work, they learned the lesson, they moved on. There wasn't the facility to say, okay, we'll fix it in editing or we'll fix it with a bit of CGI. They were always trying to make things better with the money that they had. And as you say, the Leisure High just signaled a whole new fresh start for Doctor Who, using what Jonathan Turner was a wizard with money and with budget. And he just made what was essentially a small budget go that little bit further.
If I bring in Rachael here on the Leisure Hive, it has shots for loads of the stories, and it does look it does look a bit of a mix between Top of the Pops and something else as well. I have to say,
it made me think of corrugated cardboard. I don't know why. Just a shot. Obviously, when you watch Leisure Hive, it doesn't look like that. Yeah.
So I mean, it was very vibrant and it did look very professional.
80s.
Let's have another little kind of break from this. There was another item. If we're Doctor Who,
I just want to say something about J&T. Actually, that those shots, he's doing exactly what a producer should actually be doing. I've worked with lots of producers. They're at rehearsals. They sit and they will watch something perhaps in a different room off screen, and watch part of the footage being shot, but going around checking the costumes, making sure things look right, knowing exactly what's going on. So everything that RTD essentially is doing today, but without the writing. So, if RTD got rid of the writing aspect and did what J&T would be doing, he can still have a really good handle on the show. It is possible. And J&T had a pretty good handle on it. Anyway, said my bit.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it's because J&T was around for a long time as well. So some of the observations are from later J&T. And actually, you should actually be also looking at how he wanted to do this at the beginning. So anyway, as we move on, the next thing is, of course, the Happiness Patrol was shown, I think it was yesterday at the BFI. Yes, did you go? No. We were invited? No. Have you got the money to go to London and actually just, no. I want to shout out this unpublished Colin Howard artwork. I had a lovely chat with him at DWAS. I know me and John were at DWAS, weren't we? And was it late April?
Seems a lot longer ago.
What happened in between? Oh yeah, season 1. And so basically they decided to go a different way, the VHSs. So he had the artwork already and it was never used, bless him. But he's a lovely man. And I bought some Deadly Assassin artwork off him. It's just over there. But the BFI now, you know that obviously good old, I think it's October the 28th now, season 25 is coming out on Blu-ray. And of course, I think it's the Happiness Patrol that actually looks most changed because they've added interesting kind of advertising hoardings. They've really tried to make it look a lot bigger than studio bound. I watched it again last night. It feels very studio bound. Their ambition is massive, but it's just studio bound and it just feels very echoey and studio bound. So anyway, this was shown yesterday. Apparently they didn't add, when they showed it at the BFI, the BBC sent the tape, which was the original streaming and not with the new effects. So you didn't get any of this. But you obviously got, and I'll just show now, I'll come back to this. You got though some amazing panel. So there's everybody who's lucky enough to pay and live near London or get down there and, if only you could. But there's Sheila Hancock. I mean, just to see Sheila Hancock in that, they showed you how the Fifi worked. There's good old Sylvester. I tell you what, me and John saw them both at DWAS, Sophie and Sylvester. And my God, they are working it, aren't they? They're everywhere. And so there's Andrew Cartmel, there's Sheila Hancock relating her tales. There's Sophie, so Ace and the Doctor. I tell you, there was always sex in the TARDIS. It's been going on forever. But yeah, I mean, Michelle, how does this make you feel? I'm a funny one with McCoy. You know I am, but does season 25 entice you, excite you, and more to the point, Happiness Patrol?
I haven't gotten to season 25 yet, so it's on mine to watch. But anytime I see classic Who being celebrated, it makes me warm and fuzzy all over. So I just love the love and respect they're giving to the classic era and to the DVD releases, Blu-ray releases. So I love seeing that.
I mean, John, is it? I know. When we've talked over time, there's certain McCoy ones you do like, and you do. I mean, yes, I do. I mean, Remembrance, for example, we slated Battlefield in one of our streams recently, really. But this season, you start with Remembrance. You've got Silver Nemesis. You've got Happiness Patrol, and then you end with Greatest Show in the Galaxy. So, I mean, is this? I know you'll buy it, but is this a kind of go-to for you?
Yes, yeah. As at the time, I had to. Okay, I can give you my memory of the time watching this, and we'd all just come out of Remembrance of the Daleks, and everybody thought, "Wow, real renaissance for Doctor Who. This is something really special." I just come from Remembrance of the Daleks, and then we went straight into the Happiness Patrol, and the Happiness Patrol, both in terms of its production values, its script, the Candyman, to a certain degree, McCoy's performance just seemed to be like a backward step, and I myself and other fans at the time saw it as such. So what it seemed at the time to us was that Doctor Who was going to become popular again and serious again, and had a bit of gravitas behind it after Remembrance, and then it sort of shot itself in the foot with the Happiness Patrol. That was the feeling we had, myself and other fans, at the time. Looking back now, you go back all those 30 years and more, it sits amid the whole McCoy season, and it sits as what they used to call the oddball stories, and it was what it was. It's never been a particular favourite of mine. It has got that studio-bound look. The one deep regret I have, I think the Happiness Patrol would have benefited from what Andrew Cartmel and others had wanted at the time. It was G&T who vetoed it, was to make it a film noir type look, to film it in black and white. And I forget the name of the technique, Michelle or Rachel might know, where they tilt the camera, sort of third man type style, and film it slightly askew. And I think had they done that, black and white and the camera slightly at an angle, it would have given it a sort of vibe which it would have benefited from and made up from the tackiness it had in terms of the shadiness of all. And I'm just a wee bit disappointed that they've chosen to do the more sort of obvious effects to the max now that they can do with CGI, although I'll be pleased to go and have a look at them. I would have been, Dutch angle. Peter Hannings just mentioned. Thank you, Peter. Dutch angle. To have done that with the black and white, to have tried to do that on this version, to see as how Andrew Cartmel and Graham Curry would have wanted it, and G&T vetoed, would have been nice to have seen.
I mean, I'm dying to see how they do this one the most. So that's why I was intrigued that it was being shown at the BFI, and then to find that they didn't show the new effects seems to be a bit crazy.
Apparently, the BBC sent the wrong tape.
Well, and so they.
Isn't that funny? That's not like them at all.
So, I mean, the other thing about these Blu-rays, just while we're on, because
your British taxpayer money put the good use.
So, as I was the extras on the
£15 a month.
Oh, you can see why I've got these two back on. Can't finish a sentence. Season 25. It's the extras. If you don't like the season, it's not your favorite. I know there's Remembrance and that, but when Sophie Met Leslie, if I just rattle through these, are there any that actually appeal to you? Sophie Met Leslie Dunlop. There's a pairing I never saw coming. The Stephen Mansfield interview about the practical effects. Obviously, loads of footage. Looking for Dursley McClendon, who was obviously in Remembrance and died tragically early. The making of Doctor Who, of course, the extended version of Silver Nemesis, omnibus edition of that, the collectors, the 1980s. What normally appeals to you? I actually love the behind the sofas. I actually love the chemistry of that. Rachel, is there anything that appeals to you in the extras, or is it just going to be?
Is this the Blu-ray?
Yeah.
I don't have Blu-ray. I'm sad. So I won't be buying it. But I like listening to the interviews. If anything that I had to choose, it would generally be something to do with the interviews. I'm not interested in the updated effects. I watched Enlightenment updated effects and regretted it. I prefer it with the old effects, so I just leave them alone now in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Michelle?
yeah, just the interviews I would be interested in mostly.
Yeah.
Mm.
Michelle, what about you? Is there anything that appeals? I mean, given that the 4 stories you will like or don't like, you buy the Blu-ray because of any of these items?
I'm an outtake person. I love outtakes. I love when they flub and the reactions to it. So I'm an outtake person.
Ah, okay. Do you know there's loads on the Blu-rays I don't look at, but what would be your go-to, John, out of all this that you're seeing thus far?
I have to say, the ones you've read out, nothing's really jumping out to me. I expected an Andrew Cartmel interview by Matthew Sweet. I thought that would have been worth it. I don't understand why we're having Sophie Aldred interviewing Leslie Dunlop. That might be good for the girls, but I don't see what particular interest that would be to Doctor Who fans. It's something you watch once and then go away again. And these are particularly for Doctor Who fans, so I don't understand why that's a thing. It sounds as though it's a bit of a struggle for content. I would have preferred an in-depth Matthew Sweet interview with Andrew Cartmel. We're not getting one about John Nathan Turner. I presume we're not getting one with Eric Sayward. So it would have been nice that we had an interview with Matthew Sweet, really talking to someone who was there at the time that JNT was producing, to have perhaps got a bit of background there. So that's a real loss, because that's the coin I covered. So there's no other opportunity to cover Andrew Cartmel, unless Eric Sayward is going to be interviewed for the Missing Davison season 21. There'll be no opportunity there either. So it seems a bit of a mess when we're covering things like when Sophie met Leslie Dunlop.
And yet, I have to say, with the season 15 one, I loved that walk that Louise Jameson did along Beachy Head, and then she was interviewed in that lighthouse. And I loved that interview. I just, there's certain bits, isn't it? Sometimes they catch you out.
That's a viable thing.
Yeah.
An interview with, but Matthew Sweet's already interviewed Sophie Aldred. Why are we interviewing Leslie Dunlop with? And I just don't understand. There might be a 5-minute vignette, but I don't know why I'm paying 40 odd quid, for something which I don't particularly think will be particularly enlightening. And remember, these are specialist DVDs. They're not for fans.
Yeah, Divine and Dragon, get your physical media while you can before it's remastered for a modern audience. Or shall I say Divine and Dragon? Think of the poor Doctor Who fans who didn't buy the VHS or the DVD of An Earthly Child, because you can't get it now at all. If I own it, if I control the streaming of it, right. Let's get back to rare photographs. And since we're on McCoy for a moment, did you know the Gods of Ragnarok look like that? I didn't even know the Gods of Ragnarok, that one of them was a woman, at least. I mean, there you go. I didn't know. They were so impassive. And there you go. The 3 gods. One of them is antisocial. I can see he's still got his mask on. He's not talking. I think he's one of those actors, Rachel, that doesn't talk to the others,
Yeah, sort of like a reclusive, in the zone.
Method actor.
Very strong type of method actor. But you've got 2 types of method actors. One that sort of like go very into the zone, or one that acts the character out all the way through the day, which can be something left to be desired, I will say.
It's a horrible part of the job, actually. Look at them just having to sit there. But
yeah,
John, health and safety. Look at this. Good old BBC. Look at the health and safety when he was doing his catapult. Look at the mattresses at the top. As if this is going to kill people. I mean, I know they had their moment in Battlefield, but that's on a different scale to a catapult. But there you go. Look at them all.
I wonder how many license fees those mattresses cost.
But if he's off, someone's still getting banged. If he's off, he's still gonna bang somebody.
You said you're surprised, but one of the Gods of Ragnarok was female. But if you think about it, 2 of them were female. It was a small child, small daughter, and plus the mother.
Yes.
So I don't know if the actors were actually inside the costumes or whether they just played the characters.
That would have been good. That would have been good. You're right to say that. Do you know some of these stories I am not as hot on as I used to be with other ones?
I'm just hot.
Oh, here we go. Looks like the Gods of Ragnarok have completely lost their heads. Well, 2 of them anyway. Yeah. They're probably stoned, says Peter Harrington.
Very Tolkien-esque. Very, very Lord of the Rings, Tolkien-esque looking.
What about since it, I mean, the model of the circus, and you'll see it on, you can see it's on board there. Can you see? You can see the
It's
standing.
excellent. It really is excellent.
Yeah, and then you see them protecting it with a canvas.
So they're protecting a tent with a tent.
Yeah, and we know there's so many stories to this story anyway, but I just thought it'd be nice to see that again. But look how diminished the TARDIS was in the McCoy years. Look at this is from The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. How diminished. And I've got a few shots later from good old Unearthly Child, but look at the TARDIS. It gets butchered and smaller and pushed in the corner. And
is that the episode that they filmed basically in the car park?
Yes.
Yeah. But look at it. It's like, and not every McCoy story even had the TARDIS anymore, did it? The TARDIS interior just it seems to be just disappearing or falling to
There
pieces.
was something about redesigning it, wasn't there?
Andrew Campbell was a script editor. He was never keen on TARDIS scenes. He wanted to get the Doctor in on the action, whereas Eric Sayworth favoured lengthy TARDIS.
Well, the truth is, there was a time under Colin Baker, Vengeance on Varos. How long was the Doctor in the TARDIS?
Yeah,
I just thought,
the first episode.
Yeah, just too long. Now, here's a question for the panel and the thread, but you have to be fast. You can't cheat. Is you get behind the scenes shots of rehearsals at Acton, the Acton Hilton. So here we go. Which story is this? Who's first in? Are ready? Fingers on the buzzers. Which story are they rehearsing here? Go.
The Visitation.
The Visitation. How do you know? Just to help us out.
Because that's Janet Fielding holding a rifle, and that's Michael Robbins, who played Richard Mace.
And you can see Michael Melia, the pterodactyl on the floor. So is this the scene? Is this the scene from part 4 that they were practicing?
Yes, so she's got she's got the shotgun.
Yeah.
Rifle, what would you call those in those days? The blunderbuss. I don't know.
Blunderbuss.
Yeah.
Blunderbuss.
Yeah. So there you go. The good old Visitation is one I love to revisit. I love that.
You can see J&T in the back watching it too. You can see him right behind the guy in the gray sweater.
As he should be, as Rachel was saying, as he should be. But the Visitation is a great one. But there's a pterodactyl getting a cup of tea. I mean, there you go. I love it.
Perks of the job when you go and film on set is that you get your lunch included.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, and he's actually lucky he's able to take everything off. It's just his little fins, so to speak, are still on. But yeah, good old him. And there's them all going to the filming. Look at that on the bus.
Oh, yeah.
And he is smoking a fag.
On the bus. Oh, don't tell the government, they'll have him. But
it looks like Sarah Sons in her Nissa outfit.
Yeah, yes. Sarah Sutton had to go to the TV centre about 3 hours ahead of everybody else to have her hair put in rollers before they get on the bus to travel to the location. I read that, or she said in one of her interviews. So they would all turn up at 7:30 to get on the bus. She was at the TV centre at 4:30 to have her Carmen rollers put in.
Well, I'm trying to keep up with the thread. I mean, this is what we all talk about. Visitation, we all love it. So there's that. Let's kind of now this one. What if I go big again? Which story is this rehearsing?
I can't make that out.
Is that Vengeance on Varos?
Why do you think that? I'm just trying to work out your thinking.
Well, the hands up. I don't know. The torture scene? No.
Can you flip it up the other way, Brendan, so we see who's that's lying on the ground?
I wish I could. I know it would actually help, if you saw who's on the floor. I'm just going to see on the thread. I'll give it another moment. There's a lot of actors who have played parts laying on the floor dead. So think of a story in colour. And then I will show you.
It's quite tricky to see, isn't it?
I know.
Is the triangle shape important? The way it's laid out?
Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, I'll show you now.
Is it a Peter Davison story?
It's not. It's a bit after. It's your favourite. There, look. It's Terror of the Vervoids.
Yeah.
And they're the compost heap on the floor.
It was nice to get him a mattress.
That's a compost heap on the floor.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah, remember, episode 3 or 4, and
Yeah.
you see the compost heap of
Mhm.
all the dead, because it was like an Agatha Christie, wasn't it, by Pippa Jane Baker? There they all are. In fact, whoever the man who's on the mattress, he's the one who was like, he was like the concierge or something, wasn't he?
Yes, Rudge.
Yeah. And there he is. Maybe because he's a slightly older actor, he's got a mattress.
Well, they had old Arthur Hewlett in that, who was in State of Decay as well. He was about 105. So I hope they got him a mattress too.
Yeah. Anyway, there's the Vervoid. I know it's notorious, but there's the Vervoid.
Who's that in the costume? Is that an actor or is that the designer?
Yeah, I tried to get the details of this, and it could be one of those. I don't know which one. I have to say, I'll be honest with you. But here's a good old Colin Baker one. Remember when he was in the quicksand? And of course, Rachel, you know the classic one as actors, the to and from. Look at their feet. Look at their
Yes.
Awesome.
I've got a great story to tell you about one of my experiences. I had this massive costume. It was humongous. It was based off of a Scandinavian old-fashioned type of costume, and they got me this IKEA bag because it was so long, and I wasn't allowed to go to the set in the shoes that they are here. So you can see they're bagged up here, but for me, they had to get me back into my regular shoes and then get all of this skirt into my legs through into an IKEA bag. And bearing in mind, they're putting me into this because I can't barely move to get myself into this. And then they're hoiking up the IKEA bag over my shoulders.
Yeah.
So I'm wearing this IKEA bag, a bit like that, but walking to and from the set every day doing this performance, and then having to get to the set, remove the IKEA bag, get mic'd up, perform, and then when I'm doing a character changeover, back in the IKEA bag. Oh my goodness, it was a nightmare. But to and from, IKEA bag all the way.
You get it. So
with the orange tights.
Yeah,
And
Brenda.
Nicola Bryan is absolutely freezing her.
She
unit
looks
off.
awful.
She is absolutely miserable.
Well, actually, as John's coming in there, I just want to shout out. I actually probably did make a mistake. Paul Richards, you're probably right. That is the twin dilemma. Yeah. Whereas
stories,
Whereas the second one, of course, is the Ultimate Four. Yeah. And there is a difference, and I should have noticed his hair's a bit different, actually. Yeah. So
his waistcoat's different too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's true. That's true. Yes. But
yeah, it was sort of like giving up putting him in the bags. He's messy, so they gave up. Obviously, they probably would have had a second pair of trousers to do that. So.
Oh well, let's just sit on this for a second because it's David Hardin's all-time favorite Doctor Who story. My big question, though, David Hardin, is what was the story that went to the grave with Robert Holmes? I'd have loved to have known what the climax was. As you know, it all got into litigation and chaos. What was the ending to the trial of a Time Lord? We'll never. Do we know?
Maybe he was going to regenerate and actually have a proper regeneration story.
Well, there you go. Now, we all know on Unearthly Child, we are doing our memories of Doctor Who. And I just thought, do you know what? This is why I assume in 63 people fell in love with Doctor Who. I know the Daleks was about to come, but you still have to be grabbed over 4 weeks. And to see this set, I actually do find this set really appealing just to stare at. I mean, I just want to go bigger. I mean, look at it. I love to see that TARDIS just on a slight angle, just there, way back. And then, yes, we've seen one photo. There's a shot that's out there, which is very kin to this when they're all kind of on the run. William Hartnell, look at him. I mean, he's actually younger than me there. And he's got the wig and he looks, muddied and a bit knackered. And, there you go. They are in peril to start the adventures that we know 61 years later go on. And I'm always interested in just the ones that you never saw there. Look, just the difference of that's the one that you're used to, but just seeing their faces I think, oh God, I want this to be real. I want this to just be happening now. And there you go. We've got in the Unearthly Child, you've got, William Hartnell just having a moment between filming again. I mean,
It
God.
looks like he doesn't have his wig on yet either, so it's like a partial.
He looked so distinguished, actually, without the wig. The wig really did make him like this cuddly granddad in a way, didn't it? It really did. So
It
yes,
made him look older.
yeah. And of course, if I'm going to give you, I'm finishing with lots of iconic moments or iconic stories. So here's the Dalek invasion of Earth. If only we knew that to get away from Daleks, you just have to go behind the camera. I mean, basically, look at that.
Well, at this point, it would just go upstairs. You know, they couldn't fly yet, so just go upstairs.
Yeah, it's. I mean, you come on, it can't be hard, surely. There's is that Ian hiding from the Daleks on the UFO? Look at that. I mean, honestly, I just love to see these little bits of scenery. So
This makes you wish time travel truly was a real thing.
well, talking about,
I mean, like this.
yeah, well, talking about time travel, these photographs is time travel, isn't it? Absolutely love this. And I have to say, the thread are loving just seeing anything from a different angle. Oh, come on, look at that. The Krotons, which I was introduced to with the 5 Faces of Doctor Who, but just from a different angle, because it was a great effect, that tendril coming out of the Kroton ship. Happy memories of that, John? I think we were.
Yeah, again, you say 5 Faces. Yeah, that's exactly when. And when the Croton was shown as 5 Faces, it was the old grainy, unremastered edition. So it looked the way it would have done when people watched it in the 1960s. So yeah, it just that thing coming out is reminiscent of the route in Death to the Daleks, isn't it?
Yes.
Out of the pond to zap a few Daleks, which I always thought, while you could see the wires, was still a great effect. Loved it. I loved it then. I loved it now.
And it must have been, John, expensive, because when they were on location, that route from the Death of the Daleks was on a big crane system, wasn't it?
Yeah. And unfortunately, you could see, if you looked hard enough, you see the wires. But I still think it's a pretty good effect for the time, as is this.
Well, Lee Smith is obviously, the popcorn's run out, very phallic.
Now, look, can I just say that I was going to leave that to the thread this time to say me saying it. So I hope you noticed I didn't go there.
we noticed. We're very proud of you.
Very well done. Very well done. Well, Darren Dolby says, and actually you're not the only one, Crimpling says it, TARDIS Travel says it, I've got a soft spot for the Krotons. I'm not judgmental that they've got a Brummie accent either, these aliens. But I have to say,
that was Brummie. I would say that's more South African.
Do you think? Oh, I thought Jamie downstairs might tell us. Jamie, who's obviously from the Midlands, might tell us whether it did sound Brummie. But the thing is, do we have really happy memories of the Krotons like the thread have because of the 5 Faces of Doctor Who?
Yes.
Or because they watch it at the time, or because it's a good story, or because An Unearthly Child I found fascinating, but let's be honest, it was part 1. Mm-hmm. The Krotons, I'd never really read the book, I don't think, at that point, and this was like amazing.
The book wasn't out at that point.
No. So it was just brand new stuff. Yeah. Obviously, Carnival of Monsters, great, Pertwee, and 3 Doctors I had seen before, and then we'd all seen Logopolis. So this one, maybe this was our new discovery.
No, it was just seeing Troughton for the first time.
Oh, God, he's good.
I just seen Patrick Troughton because it was such a rare thing. We didn't really get clips in those days. There was no videos, there was nothing. So to see Troughton was just magnificent. And one of the early memories I have is a wonderful scene when Troughton emerges from the TARDIS in part 1 of the Krotons, and he stretches his arms as if he's taking a yawn and just says the words, lovely, lovely, lovely. And that's exactly what it was. It was just beautiful.
I loved him. He was humming away when they were just walking.
Yeah.
I loved the hads. I loved the little moments by the door into the diner truck. I mean,
the story itself isn't. It's a fairly middling, fairly story. You can take it or leave it, but it's not the point. The point is, it's just seeing Troughton. It's just seeing him with Zoe and Jamie again. For us in 1981, it carried us just because we were seeing this TARDIS crew and that Doctor for the first time for many of us, for the first time. And we got spoiled later on with VHSs and DVDs and streaming. But it's very difficult for those of a generation to have seen, no, this was gone forever, and all of a sudden we see, and although it was the Krotons, and it's very well down the list of classic stories, we loved it just for the fact it was Troughton, and it was the Troughton team. It was wonderful.
Yeah, and there's an argument in the thread about whether it's South African or Brummie, so I'll leave it there.
South African, I'm going for.
So anyway, Crimpling, I have great affection for the Krotons, partly because of the 5 faces, but I recorded it on VHS and watched it over and over. Do you know, Crimpling, you might have done it on VHS. I just taped the audio, and it's very funny just hearing the diner trope all the time. But
Diner trope.
But to hear the Troughton voice was great. Of course, this is Power of the Daleks when it all started with Troughton. And do you know what? You can see loads of shots on this Facebook page, but to see that crumpled Dalek, Kemble in the background, and just to see that, I just love that. I can see why, Rachel, I'd get into acting. Do you know what I mean? To see some of the sets, it must be great just to stand in them.
Yeah. One of the things that the sets really do is just sort of like take you there. In fact, actually, one of the reasons why I got into acting was because of the sets being transported into a different world. Yeah, it's great. It also helps with your portrayal, and obviously it makes it believable.
So, John, you were going to come in then before I change.
Yeah, just because, given the fact that the Power of Daleks is a missing story, it's fascinating to know that purely because of the telesnaps and the things we have, that set is instantly recognizable as Power of the Daleks. That those rock formations in the background.
Yeah.
Had you shown me that, just saying which stories that come from, I might have taken a few seconds or a few minutes, but I would have got there.
Yeah.
Because it's instantly recognizable as the planet Kemble, as we've come to know it from photographs only.
Yeah. Well, let's try this one then. This was never in Day of the Daleks. What is John Pertwee's doctor getting up to? Do they need a room? What is going on?
Is this? Have they been chucked at somebody's barbecue or something? Is it? What?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's like, is it first aid? Is this?
He's looking for his wallet.
So obviously, when they do photo shoots that have nothing to do with the plot, and you've got, you know, the doctor either aiding an Ogron, half attacking an Ogron, but an Ogron's going to get him. Yeah, I just found that interesting. Just makes me feel good about Dave.
What's that behind the Ogron standing up? Is he doing a fan dance? Is that a?
Do you know what? And because you've got just normal shrubbery, I feel as though it's the Blue Peter Garden. It's not, but you know what I mean. It's like, but and maybe the Italian sunken garden in Blue Peter was where the Ogrons were buried. What about this one? We all know Genesis of the Daleks, but look at Nida, look at Peter Miles. I'm wearing my own gear.
Yeah, is that one of those rehearsal shots we spoke about? And little did we know that Nida was man at CNA.
You didn't, but the clues were there, Davros. If only you knew.
Look at the lifts in the shoes for the one that's in the middle. He's a little short there. He's got some lifts in his shoes.
It's interesting that you think, gosh, so Nida actually was his own man. And Babette Bombshell, for me, Doctor Who was a TV series with a shadowy and mysterious history. It added so much to the Who in Doctor Who. Yeah, get off this planet, get away from our societal issues, go on a great yarn, enjoy yourself, and have Davros in a wheelchair, for God's sake. So there's that one. And look at Talons of Wen Cheyenne hasn't been mentioned in our stream for a while. Gosh, what's that? But this is another rehearsal shot. And it's so what do I do, says Tom Baker. Or is he telling the director what he's going to do? I'm going to throw this on the floor, this peeking homunculus. Great story, great memories.
Wow.
Great little character. Again, knife crime. You won't be allowed to show that now. Now let's have a look. Has it come on yet? Have you got the photograph yet? It's not come through. There it is. Sylvester McCoy in glasses. I'd never seen that, you see. Chilling out in Curse of Fenric.
He's actually on screen wearing glasses in Delta and the Bannermen. There's a shot on the motorbike where he forgot to take his glasses off, and it exists in the story to this day.
I've seen other shots where he was like off screen, but still in his outfit. Like there's one where he's signing autographs for a child, and you can see him in his glasses, and then you can, when he's on screen, he's taking them off.
So we've got that. I love You see, this is it. It's just seeing them. You go, God, just like Peter Davison's Doctor was aided by the glasses in Frontius, and obviously Tennant copied that. It's just interesting to just see this element. So here we go.
It'd be interesting to have a Doctor wear glasses full time, not just for reading or
Although not as a tick box exercise, just
just as character development.
But here he is. He's playing the game of Fenric. Although I don't know if he looks that interested in the chess game here in the behind the scenes shot there. Looks like a dull chess game. But yeah, there you go with Curse of Fenric. And then, there you go. Mysterious Planet. Drathro. Look at that. I know. Just it was surprising me it was in black and white, but there you go.
And that's the actor standing next to the Drathro there who provided the voice. He was originally supposed to go into the costume, but he decided for whatever reason it wasn't for him. So some poor stuntman or extra played the part of Drathro, and he continued to do the voice. Roger Brierley, I think his name is.
Oh, okay.
I think, but he provides the voice and was originally to be in the costume too. But unlike Michael Gilgareth, who provided the voice and was the giant robot, he wasn't.
Yeah. Of course, we had Joan Sims in this one. I remember when Mysterious Planet was on, you were thinking, it's not quite working. The video recording as well, it was so clear. I lost the atmosphere when they're in the woods and that. I don't know.
It looked like a soap opera, didn't it?
Yeah, and I hated that cliffhanger when they were going to stone him to death, but he just used his brolly and anyway, Marb Station. Right, I'll make just a round up. Cave of Skulls, there you go. That's where it all started. It was apart from An Unearthly Child as the title, the next one to me that registered was the Cave of Skulls. And I
looks a bit glamorous, doesn't she?
She looks happy to be in Neanderthal times. Maybe women had rights then.
She has all her teeth.
Was that the name of the photo? Was a photograph taken for that newspaper, the Neanderthal Times?
It probably was, and it was before Rachael Welch did her shoot.
She looks a bit glam.
Well, yeah, I mean, from a very big, she could almost be Kate O'Mara's sister or something. I don't know.
It's the shot for a cave boy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and do you know what you're saying? She's glam. Is this? Do we have to go back to Neanderthal times when the last time women had rights? Because they seem to be disappearing at the moment, but maybe we have to go back to there.
I'm just wondering if she is Kate O'Mara's sister, is she holding that hand and saying, "I do this to all my men"?
Yes, I know. She hasn't fed him. I tell you, watch it. He's suffered there. So there you go. Lovely cave. And I did promise you to just the TARDIS, the ship. It is, I don't know. We had, I think on the detox, we talked about all the interiors and which one was our favorite. But if they'd kept using all the facets of this original, I think the original would have trumped any other. It's just they started to reduce it, didn't they? For obvious reasons. As David Mullen said in the thread ages ago, that everything was cramped, and of course the size of this TARDIS set was just too big, wasn't it?
I like the original TARDIS, but I have to say my favorite has always been, in retrospect, season 18. The season 18 TARDIS is my favorite. Was it? Yeah.
Well, I miss that strange. Is it hexagonal ceiling?
It's lovely. It's beautiful, But I think they what they did with this original TARDIS set in the first episode is that they gave themselves too much to do every single time, and so that's why it truncated and shrunk. When the TARDIS only had to appear for seconds or so, but it's still a marvelous piece of design, and we wouldn't have had a season 18 TARDIS but for this TARDIS and Peter Bajaki's fabulous design. So kudos and well done. But I still have to say that in retrospect, season 18 is my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, Babette Bamshell is still thinking of that glam cave woman. Some of the actresses refused to take off their 60s fake eyelashes while filming The Tribe of Gum and Cave of Skulls. Back then, putting on lashes took forever. So,
They wouldn't get away with that now. Lashes off.
yeah.
That would be what it is from the makeup designer and that.
Is she wearing stockings and high heels too? Like that? She's so glam.
Very glam there. So there you go. So
But
we've
if you go back to the other picture with those, okay, so that weird candelabra looking thing, they actually found that
Where's
while
that?
doing the recreated set for the movie about Adventure Time and Space for the 50th anniversary, and they brought that back, and actually they found that as an original prop.
Oh, lovely. Yeah.
Yeah, they found it when they went back into the BBC stock room and were like, oh, well, that's a matchup. And then they were looking at the records and realized it was the original kind of like candlestick lamp, whatever.
Well,
there.
I just want to say to the thread, if you want me to do something like this again, you only have to say, has this been just what you needed, just what the doctor needed, just what the doctor ordered?
That's why you got that photograph up, Brendan. Michelle mentioned the candelabra. That chair, which has the coat over it, which was in the original TARDIS, appeared right up until Deadly Assassin. And I think even into season 15, it made an appearance. I can't remember, but that chair appeared throughout. It came and went, but it was still being used into Tom Baker's time in the TARDIS. So there you go.
Okay, so if the thread are into that, we will do this sort of thing again, of course, because it's the love of Doctor Who. It just gets you thinking. I did promise it today that we would have Doctor Who Gold, and hopefully you've really had something that's inspired you to go, I'm going to go and watch that tonight. I'm going to go and do that. Hello, good to see AFJ Kernow. If it hadn't been for the dedication and determination of the team, both in front and behind the cameras, to produce a unique and exciting experience for the audience, Doctor Who would have sunk without trace. Here. And can I just say, that's why I wanted to finish with the TARDIS interior shot from 1963. This is a 61-year-old, absolute amazing beast of a show. And whether we are having problems with what's going on now or during 7 periods, this is where it all started. Yeah. And this is where this stream will finish, because, you know, I can see, when I hear Colin Baker say he was excited as an undergraduate, I can see why.
Brendan, do you know what's worth saying? And I don't want to finish and talk over your final points, but again, to take it way back to how we started, because we're looking at the start here, this wasn't done with money or huge budgets. Yep. It was done with love, determination, getting the thing out, people who knew their craft, be it writers, directors, set designers, set builders, actors, every single one of them doing their best and giving of their best. Had Doctor Who had a huge, big budget right from the start, you know, chances are we might not have had classic designs like the TARDIS. We might not even have had Doctor Who as it exists today, because now we're giving Doctor Who a big budget, Disney style. We seem to be apparently killing the thing.
Well, there's a lot of yeses in the thread, and I'm assuming that's the answer to my question. Should we do this maybe again sometime?
So they agree with me.
Oh, I doubt that. This is very rare to happen, John. You know, I mean, one of the interesting things about the current iteration has been behind the scenes programs. The current crew are just as dedicated and motivated to produce a good show. I think it's good to end on, we have always, even during season 1 streams, Rachel, Michelle and John, haven't we said, I feel sorry for the people behind the scenes with all the talent, because they are still busting a gut, and I can't knock them for that.
Yes.
Of course they are. Of course they are. 100%. Absolutely they are. They're professional people. They want to do their best. But unfortunately, sometimes the best of innovation comes with reduced budget. That's my view.
So hopefully that was 2 hours that you won't get back. No, this is 2 hours of time travel. And it was
still on.
The beauty of Doctor Who, the beauty that was the program that grabbed us, and we've just gone down memory lane. And you can do it yourself, find that Facebook page, but I'll certainly do more. Rachel, it's now time to say everyone leaves our channel and goes to yours to watch your interview with
Will Hardcroft, BBC audio author for Doctor Who. He has written a new audio book called Dark Contract. and I did an interview of on that. So please do go and watch it. Divine and Dragon was in the chat earlier watching it, and he liked it. So yeah, it's a very good one, and perhaps some very different questions as to perhaps what normally would get asked in an interview. So yeah,
there you go. So quickly go to the loo and then watch that stream. So thanks for being on, Rachel. Michelle,
Thank
you
you.
obviously are streaming in other places now, you little tinker.
Yes, I am. The Legend of the Traveling TARDIS on Tuesday, 6 o'clock my time. And I think we're talking about this next week is going to be a discussion about upcoming con in Florida.
And John, you've been streaming with hay fever, yeah?
Yes, my nose has been running because nose is running our family. But no, I'm not streaming anywhere else. I'm appearing live at the local theatre. Yes, I am. Yes, I'm appearing live at the local theatre stage, brushing it, and will be probably for the next 10 years heading across or so. But no, nobody else wants me.
Oh, John, he comes on the air and now he's trying to big a career up now. Oh, it happens everywhere. Right. Okay, then. Thank you for those 2 hours. Thanks to the thread.
Thank you.
Could everybody in the thread, for one, subscribe, but then also maybe repost us and advertise us? Because I tell you what, if everybody did that, it'd be amazing. Right. Good night, everybody. Good night, Rachel, John, Michelle, and everyone else. Bye.
Bye.